Good morning. I wanted to show the sunset. I mean the sunrise.
Oh, oh.
Hey, I'm gonna show you the sunrise.
What are you trying to do?
The people of the land. We've got Stacy with us. Good morning, Stacy. Look at this beautiful sunrise. The reason I do this, it's important when I choose to do this, is because you're receiving our sadhana sunrise and the energy from this sunrise we're sharing with you. And it's okay that you're not here with us because you could still receive this energy. Yes, it is gorgeous. So yes, we're sharing our sunrise with you, and it's the perfect time. We have the ocean behind us, and you get to be with us as we create our very first podcast. It took some time to get here, huh, Miko?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
This was in the works for a long time. And so it's pretty awesome that we get to share this with you, Stacy. There we go. She said awesome. How are you, Stacy? Let's see. Dang, I can't stay for long. I'm at a friend's house, but I'm happy to be here. Aw, Stacy, just saying hello is awesome. She's doing good. Enjoy being at your friend's house. She's busy. We're getting elevator answers. Good, busy, yeah. And that's okay. One last thing to hit record.
Hummy hum hum hum. Hummy hum rum hum. Hummy hum rum hum. Hummy hum rum hum. Hello? Hummy hum rum hum. Did you want? We can have it.
Check, check,
Well,
check. It's working.
Right, but that might be too
Oh.
close. No, you're fine. Hey, you don't have to get so close. I'm gonna make it sensitive, so you can sit back.
Okay, I was just teasing.
No,
I just wanted to see if this was working.
What do you mean?
That this was also recording. All right.
Wait, give me a test real quick. Sit back and talk. Keep talking.
Yeah, I'll keep talking. So we're getting ready for a live stream. We're live streaming. We're getting ready for the podcast, and I'm probably going to project out a little bit more so that our live streamers can hear.
Yeah, and I'll take the music out when we start talking. So I
You
think.
guys get to be part of the whole pre-production. Getting ready for the production.
So maybe music is not going to be in it.
Why not?
Well, I just think we can have music playing in and music playing out, and then within it we can consciously
Play music.
play like one song or something like that. But when
I
we're
see.
talking, it's probably best if the music's not in the tune, especially because
You're so right. Okay.
So then you just find a song to play in once you hit record.
I hit record. I'm just activating my my electromagnetic fields, which is in the head and in the hair. So I'm just kind of, and this is a beautiful way to kind of wake up and activate our system. So, you know, I'm just waiting for Nico to get settled, and instead of just sitting here unconsciously, I can feel the sun on my face, on my skin, and receive the energy from the sun under my skin. And I can activate my head by just kind of gently tapping the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, right?
Chakra.
We're just kind of chakra,
Chakra.
just kind of waking everything up here. I like to rub my medulla oblongata.
Not in front of everyone.
Totally in front of everybody.
Your medulla oblongata.
I like to rub it. It feels good. And then tap your heart. Activate your human heart center. And relax as you do this. And then right in the center of your solar plexus, which is located in between the rib cage right here, holds the water element, holds all the depth of human emotions right here in our solar plexus. Navel chakra, you can activate it just by rubbing it. This is our sense of being here on earth. This is our power center, it's our navel chakra. And we go to activate and tap our sacral chakra.
Chakra.
We do that every time.
Every time.
And that activates our creative center. And when we say creative, we don't just mean artistically creative. We're talking about the creative powers of manifesting
It's interesting.
within every being.
It's a sensitive spot too.
Yeah.
So like when you go get a massage, energetically it's sensitive. Like,
It is. It's a. There's a lot that's held there, especially for a woman. All of her damage and her trauma and her stories, her human stories, are held within the yoni. And so when we clear those energies and heal those energies, we do a lot of yoni work, conscious yoni work. And that's where a lot of the pain and the sorrow and the lineage and the suffering and the density is held for a woman. And
so what do you think it's held for a man?
So, I mean, I would love to go deeper with that. So I'm gonna say to our producer, who will be here tomorrow, I'll say Montero,
Pull that up.
pull that up. But if I check in, and you know, and this is just what
I feel like
get
it could be the
when I
same
check
for
in,
men too.
held in.
But maybe that's through their mother stuff.
There you
Right.
go. So there you go. Guru Ratana speaks about the the damaged masculine energy
Mm.
through the damaged feminine energy.
Mm.
And how much of the density is passed on while the woman is impregnated with her child.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. They have to all
They're
babies
literally attached.
exactly,
Yeah.
and all babies have to pass through the yoni system
Mm.
to see life, right? To get out, and they have to pass through that yoni system where all that energy is held. It's the first taste of density, right? For babies, for our spirit beings coming into our human bodies, and then creating the soul when we become awakened to its existence and its energy. And so, yeah, I feel that you tapped in, Nico, and you got it. It's still through the feminine damage, and
Mhm.
so that's why I've been speaking the last few days about how we have to heal the feminine before we can heal the planet.
Which is happening right now,
Which is
right?
happening
It's
right
the,
now.
the feminine and the masculine are
Becoming balanced and
Becoming-
harmonized, or at least
they're on the road.
become people are becoming aware of it.
Right.
Yeah, and recognizing it for the energies that it is, not necessarily the human story around it, like gender or physicality or anything like that. It's the energies that we hold, that every being holds within them is the feminine and masculine, and the work is to balance and harmonize both. That we're operating from our divine masculine and our divine feminine.
Mm.
I like the music.
The I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've had a interesting balance of feminine, masculine in my life. Excuse me.
You know, I really like the fact that we did this so organically and just sat down and created space, and this applies to everybody in your life. When you sit down and create intentional space, then you create space for things to download. There's a certain level of preparation that goes into these productions. I know it doesn't feel like it. It's because we're sharing the life behind the camera. And for me, that's infinitely more fascinating than what always gets edited and shown as the end result. For me, it's really part of the sharing is all the work that goes into, creating a production. And so you and I, just holding the intention to create space and have yesterday I read the definition of it. It's a satsang, which is, do you know the definition of it is, it says it's the gathering of the true hearts. It's the gathering of the true people. That's what a satsang is. It's hearts gathering
The
together.
gathering of the tribes.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, well, that's totally exactly what we're doing. And so, so we created space to have that. And Miko and I threw some energies out there as far as what it is that we felt inspired to talk about. And I love the fact that we kind of settled on speaking about our journey. And so what I feel is going to happen, and this is me manifesting as well, what I feel is going to happen is you wanted to speak about a journey. I wanted to speak, I mentioned that I spoke about conscious love yesterday. And then just the way that the conversation's unfolding, we're talking about feminine energy and masculine energy, and how that's such a it's so in the flow and magical when you just follow the energy, how it really just takes you through effortless and easy. Because the whole thing that we wanted to do when we shared our story is to get the masculine version of the story, and then we would get the feminine version of the story. So of course we're going to open up our podcast talking about organically the feminine energy and the masculine energy. And through our sharing, we're going to be speaking about divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy and how that looks when it's in everyday life and everyday relationships, how that manifests itself, and everything that we have learned going through this journey together and as a family, we're going to be sharing with you. It's really cool. I love it when it does that.
It's quite a journey. That it was. We constantly try to do the time over it, and you okay? You need a stretch?
Oh, I was like, when you said our journey, I just kind of had to move that energy.
Where did your mind go to? Did your mind go to any particular part of it that made you react that way?
I guess the totality of it made me react that way. Just
all of it.
All of it. It's just the whole thing just kind of came in. I felt into at what point you're gonna jump in the
that?
sharing, and I had to just kind of.
Because it's me jumping in the chair.
No. I had to do this to prepare because I knew you were jumping in. So it was my way of like, all right, we're going in energetically, going in to then, feel
well,
those
then it's
energies
just in the
again.
flow for me to ask, where would you like to begin? Well, part of the journey.
I would love for you to share where you were at before you met me.
Oh, you want to start pre-us?
Oh yeah, is it
Pre-us.
Doesn't
Well,
it start pre-us anyway?
I mean, we can go
No,
back.
yeah, maybe can I hone it in and clarify it a little bit more?
Hone and clarify.
Okay, how about just in your relationship wise, your relationship pre-us, and then at us, and then post us.
My relationship pre-us. Well, I was relationship-less for quite some time pre-us. And my relationship pre-us was
You're gonna do that the whole time, I can tell.
It was the one before, it was a beautiful relationship that taught me what it is that I really wanted. It taught me, it gave me at least the feeling of how I wanted to show up in a relationship. And so, making mistakes and, in retrospect, acting unconsciously in ways, that I look back and I'm like, I could have handled that better. But ultimately knowing that it pushed me in the direction of knowing, which ultimately manifesting what it is that I wanted out of a relationship.
What do you want out of a relationship?
Well, I mean, what I received at that time, what I really felt deep down is I wanted depth. I wanted a partnership of understanding of, where I've been, where I'm going, and then for me to do the same and to have like two journeys come together that depth of feeling that we're on, that when you sit at a restaurant and you sit on the same side and you look out together like that, the depth of feeling that you don't have to speak, but where you stand on all levels, and just that deep connection. I guess it's ultimately, you know, there's other stuff obviously, but it was at the time I felt like I wanted that, the fun and the deep connection, the fun of a friendship and closeness, and then what it turned out to be, what I got with you, Bijie, has been much more than I could have even tried to manifest, because of how we reflect back all the things that we need to evolve, and we keep each other on that, you know, on integrity and in accountability, and that ultimately provides the depth and the evolution, and then the connection and the fun. So that's and then so that was my pre-us relationship, but pre-us I was alone for many years, and decided to be at that time that I wanted to clear space for the one, that I wanted to, that was ultimately me getting in position to manifest the one, is becoming the person that I would want to be with. Right? Like I can't expect to manifest the one, you know, that I want while I'm making choices as a person that I wouldn't want to be with in a relationship, because you got to reflect that. So I just was working on myself, and you know, and it slowly, you know, deeply but slowly, you know how I work. So I mean, I was doing a lot of Kundalini. I was doing a lot of physical body work, and working through some lower, denser stuff, to, you know, to get lighter, to manifest my Bijie, and that's how it began. So.
How'd you manifest me?
Well, we spoke about this before, and I didn't do it as consciously as you, as far as writing down every aspect of the person that I wanted them to have. So I didn't do that. Mine was more of a general feeling. Like it was a feeling. It wasn't. It was a feeling that I wanted to have with the person that I was manifesting. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff there that we spoke about, but right now it's coming to me that it was just a sense of a feeling that it was kind of the same thing of, since I've been really young, I had this feeling that my spirit was going to do something big, something of value, but I never could, you know, put my finger on it. And that's been my journey, is having those feelings that there's something looming, something great looming, there's something big, but not being able to put my finger on it. And then I guess I did enough work to manifest you, to manifest connecting with you, and then it became work, right? And mutual work to stay aligned to what this is, and so yeah, I guess my answer is a general big feeling that something great is coming.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. What about you?
No, it's awesome that you manifested the thing that you couldn't quite put your finger on, and because you couldn't quite put your finger on it, you skipped trying to put your finger on it, and you just went straight to manifesting the thing that the finger is on. Does that make sense? It's like, instead of you didn't know what you wanted. If like I was just gonna use this as an example, you didn't know that you wanted this cup, right? You knew that you wanted something like this, but you didn't know you exactly what it was. So instead of manifesting, trying to figure out what this is, you manifested the feeling of drinking the tea in the cup. So you manifested someone else to do all the work, and then you just manifested the result. It's pretty amazing. Am I not making sense? Do you not get what I'm saying? Like, okay, so you manifested me, who my work was to figure out every aspect of this cup and create it.
So I just kind of blanket manifested everything.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Because my journey has been trying to put my finger on what it, not only put my finger on what it is, figure out every aspect of what that is, and then create that, and then ultimately create that with you, because I could only figure out all the aspects of this cup, but you actually did manifest the 3D version of it, you know, the container. So it is really amazing how it all came together. Yeah, thank you, Nico, for not settling or
Yeah,
compromising.
That's one thing that I never, in all my years of trying to figure out, and in the meantime, I've always manifested jobs that aided me in my ascension. I manifested, you know, not my career path, but something that would ultimately benefit me down the road in my soul path.
Yeah, you were in a Vala boot camp.
Yeah.
As I am.
As we've been.
As we've been.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, and not settling in relationship either.
Right.
Because you could have totally settled in your last relationship.
The last couple, I could have, but I made it a point, even when I was younger, to that when I was in a space of within a relationship, that as soon as it hit me that this wasn't the one, this wasn't it wasn't supposed to go any further, I spoke it. No matter how tough it was, that was one thing that I always, I needed to learn how to speak my truth throughout my journey, but that was always one thing that I kept in integrity with, to not stay in something that was not going to go anywhere, or not evolutionary.
Yeah, I feel that in my story as well. I haven't had many relationships to say that about, but the pattern is that I didn't settle or compromise as well. I feel like that's a huge part of being on our soul path, is to not settle for anything less than the soul path.
Right.
Whether it be people or relationships or
a job,
careers, or where you're living, or your relationship with food and time and money, and all those relationships as well, that we don't settle.
Yeah, to not get stuck.
To keep
and if you
flowing.
get stuck, it's okay to get stuck, but then
do it consciously.
Work on
not getting
unsticking yourself.
Because when we talk about energy, it's never good or bad. It's always either flowing or stuck.
Right.
And we don't want anything to be stuck, because anything that stays stagnant for a long time then starts to create dis-ease.
But that's why it's so easy for me to correlate, why I do the apple detox and then juicing, because it's directly connected to that for me, that if things in my body are feeling slowed down and stuck, then that's what happens within my life. And so as soon as, because I'm connected to my body so much between my practice and just my whole life, I feel like I've been not good to my body, not grateful, and this being unconsciously putting cigarettes and drinking and treating myself in a certain way. I have no regrets, and I had a blast the whole time. Maybe not every time, but yeah, I have no regrets on it because apparently I needed it to work on detaching and dropping it, and having that story. And throughout that, it's been, am I flowing? Is my body flowing? Am I feeling light? Or is it feeling stuck? Is it feeling heavy? And so, yeah.
So, so Miko, what was it like when we connected? How soon did you know that I was the one?
The moment when we connected, and we had a few really amazing flowing dates that were next level, and then that date that I got weird, right? Like you came to pick me up, right? And I started, like, I think it was like I was pulling away a little bit.
Oh yes, because you made plans with me to meet my family, to meet my sister and my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt the energy shift a little bit.
Okay.
That night we were supposed to meet together, and you flaked.
Oh, I did?
Well, you flaked on meeting them, and then you and I went out after.
Oh, yeah, I said maybe I'm not. Yeah, I don't think I was ready.
Yeah.
I was not ready to meet him. And then so, this is stereotypical for men and women, especially in the beginning of relationships. The man's like, let's not say the man, I'll just say for me, I was at a place where I was coming off a long time of being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very hesitant in making the choice to jump all in, because I know what happens down that road. Like the work
Mm-hmm.
begins, and you got to really figure it out, and
the work begins.
The work begins. And so I was like, oh, this is feeling like we've had a lot of great dates. It's feeling like this could be.
This was really early on too.
Yeah.
This was like after a.
That's how fast it happens.
Yeah, it was after like a week of hanging out, like on going to different dates, and then it was the week later. It was like a week later. Who introduces sister and brother-in-law a week after hanging out?
Right.
That was, and it was fast, and it never occurred to me to hold back.
But so it's interesting because like my past and stuff, I've had moments in my life when I was single and I was allowing myself to indulge. I was drinking and dating and that whole thing. And so during that time I realized, wow, you can have a night with somebody and it can be fantastic, and then 3 days later you're like, how do I get rid of this person? This person is in my life, and all of a sudden,
your story was coming.
Well, it was my old story with how I ran my life, for sure, or what I felt like I needed at the time. And I was promiscuous and indulging in a lifestyle when I was in my early 20s, going to raves and being open. It was all about being open to it all, and those experiences. And yeah, you find yourself getting into situations really quickly that you want to get out of. And so maybe it's a little bit of the attachment of like that old story. Is like, well, if I jump in, it's, how do I, it's the getting out that's, so that was my old story. And you're definitely my twin flame, because the way that it happened, and the way that it went down, and the way that you handled my 1 foot in, 1 foot out of this lifetime, the way that you handled that was amazing, and it made me settle into, she is the one.
I'm like, you have to share. Don't you want to share how I handled it? Because then it's leaving it so vague.
Okay, yeah.
I want to hear that part of the story
Okay.
because I feel like that's the juice. That's the juiciness part of the story.
Okay. So the way that BG handled it was to call me out on it. To say, like, what are you doing? Like, you're in or you're out. I don't got time for this. So that definitely, like, will aid a person in really trying to figure it out, because my old style ways would have been probably to figure it out a little bit slower, a little bit more prolonged, and the girls in the past were not conscious enough to call me out on that. They would just be a part of it, right? So you were present enough to be like, what's going on? Are we gonna do this or not?
Yeah.
We got no time to waste. No time to waste. We got parents to meet, a path to get on. We have a
Soul
wallet to
path is
create.
calling.
Yeah, my soul path is calling. I found you. That was kind of the energy you had. You had the energy where you like walked into a room and you were like looking for me, kind of out of breath, and you're like, I got you. Okay, let's go. That was the energy. I was like, wow, this is moving quick. And then then it hit me. I was like, okay, might as well roll with it. And like, I was like, we'll come back to meet my parents. And that was like within
But
the
that
first...
was, you told me and I found out later. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You told me and I found out later that, through Joe B, that within the week of us meeting, you're already making plans to take me back to Phoenix to meet your family.
Yeah, my friends and family, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was before I made spontaneous plans to have you hang out with me and my sister and Terry.
Right.
Because that wasn't planned. That was, you and I had plans for
So
a date.
I'm quicker, actually.
Well, it was
Secretly.
interesting.
Secretly, I'm quicker.
Yeah, so within the week of us meeting, you were already making plans to take me with you to meet your family. I thought that was fast.
Which turned out to be such a
Absolutely.
blessing, and I mean, amazing, because you got a chance to meet my father, and then we went back and the kids got a chance to meet my father
Before he passed
before
away.
he passed. Yeah,
It was
it was
absolutely
like necessary.
necessary to
Yeah.
meet him at that time
Right.
because he was still lucid enough
Yeah.
to
Yeah, I was just
really receive that.
Oh, and I was just
connection.
talking to my mom about it. How we went. We took him to karaoke,
Yeah.
and he was just lit up the whole time,
Yeah.
smiling. Like, it was a special time. Like, even my mom was like, that was something.
That was really special.
Yeah. And
I
then you
have-
dancing with him.
We have a video of me dancing with him.
Oh, we had a video?
Yeah, we have a video of me dancing
We should
with him.
maybe put it up sometime. Maybe.
No, I can put it in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
was really
it happened
special.
fast.
Yeah, it happened fast because I feel like for me, I was alone for a really long time too. I was alone for after my separation. I had just turned 30, or I was young, with 2 young children, and found myself needing to leave San Francisco and come down to LA by myself, because my karmic path with my soulmate, my karmic soulmate, which is how Pedro described, Jeff, is he said that I had to meet him, and we had to go through that. He had to open up all those story, like all that energy between my relationship with my father, my relationship with my mother, their relationship together. All of that had to be opened up in this relationship that I had. And I met Jeff when I was 19, and so I was young.
It's young.
I was really young, and we dated for about 5 years. So we dated a long time, and then I got married really young. I was 23 when I got engaged. Right? Yeah.
I couldn't imagine at that age.
Oh, I
like
was.
when I go back to
Uh-huh.
how like what I was like when I was 23, I'm like I was definitely not ready for marriage and kids. I had a lot of soul searching to do.
Yeah.
In my 20s.
No, I started, by the time I was 23, 24, I was already in a career working for the networks in San Francisco. So I started working at 19, graduated early, cum laude. I was just one of those, I took 19 unit. I got special permission from the dean to take more units. So I was taking 21 units, interning full time, and then never stopped interning. I went straight to, turning that internship into work, which was, everyone told me was impossible to do. So by the time I was ready to get married, I was fully in a career, and we already had another house, like a rental property, and we were settled. And I was young. I was so young. You're right. When I feel back
So
into
I
it
mean,
now,
think
I was
about
so
it.
young.
Look at a 19-year-old today and picture
Right.
them doing that. It's
Yeah, I was tearing through my path too. Because I didn't have the courage to
that
go
was
to.
a Vala boot camp for you.
It was. I didn't have the courage to go to New York like I wanted to for graduate school, and I sabotaged an opportunity to do that. So I chose a little bit of a different path. I chose a spiritual path, even at that point, because Jeff was Mormon, and it was something that the light called to me, and I had this profound spiritual experience, and I had it through my life. When I was 15, I had an experience, and then I was 19. I had, so it was kind of building. And now I look back, and I'm interested in why my spiritual path included the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's because of the discipline I feel. The amount of discipline that goes into living that religion is tremendous. The commitment that it takes to live that, live those standards. The standards are really high, and when those standards became effortless to me, then I knew I had detached from a lot of the worldly attachments. Like, I was never a smoker. I was never a drinker. I didn't ever do drugs.
It's a fairly
I
easy
didn't-
transition for you to.
Yeah, and in the sexual energy, that was something that needed to be brought into consciousness. I had to understand the energy within my body. If I hold it sacred like a temple, all those
Right.
elements of and without the dogma, without the good, bad rules, whatever guidelines, whatever the story around it is. In essence, it's a purifying practice to be able to be independent of any attachments. And so yeah, it was tremendous spiritual boot camp. I was, as a matter of fact, even when I first got down to Los Angeles, there was like I would have to wake up during sadhana hours. I would have to wake up if I really wanted to do this. They had early morning oh my gosh, all the terms are escaping me. It's been so long. But
They're equivalent to
they're
us.
equivalent to getting up really, really early in the morning and talking about the scriptures and stuff. Their version of the satsang.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be, I wanted to participate in that. So when while the kids were sleeping and the nanny was, I had her come really early in the morning, and the universe blessed me with a nanny who was able to, Laura, she's so amazing. She was able to be there for me so that I could get out of the house by 5 and get to the place by 5:30, and then I believe it started at like 5:45 or 6, and then we would talk about it. We would expound on principles of faith and trust and things like that for an hour or so. It was just me and less than a handful of dental students that were all going to UCLA, and you know, it was just something that I felt really committed to seeing it through. And when that became easy for me, and when living that lifestyle even alone with the children became easy for me, then I realized, I'm ready to receive more. And then obviously my soul guided me to my individual path, which finally got me ready to have my first meeting with Pedro, because there was some inner duality and conflict over me seeing Pedro while I was still honoring, you know, being a member of the church, of the Mormon church. And so that all had to be reconciled, and I had to be on a spiritual, energetic path for quite some time. And then I was ready for my first meeting with Pedro. And I feel like my first meeting with Pedro is what really got me on the path of taking one step in front of the other into the unknown every single time, taking that heart leap. And when I took that heart leap, the first one that he asked me to take was tremendous. I was living in Brentwood with the kids at the time, and I knew that I had done all these different random jobs after I quit the network, and wanted to be, you know, at home full time for the kids. And I just felt, because I was a full-time mom before, and I just wanted to, that was the most important thing to me, was to be there for the kids, and be there as much of a full, like I allowed the universe to hold space as my husband at the time, or the provider at the time, and I put my heart into being a full-time mother, in spite of the fact that, you know, I was doing everything by myself, and you know, getting support from my family, and that was, you know, that's a different story, but or a different dynamic, but at the end of the day, that's the relationship that that I feel like was the most important one that I cultivated, was the one that I had with the one that I have with Source, with God, with, you know, Creator, with all consciousness, whatever name we want to put to it. It's the same energy, and it's the same source. And so for me, cultivating that relationship with Source which was really within myself, with myself, was the biggest thing that I was creating a foundation for. And Pedro told me at the time, I was in that desperate sense of, okay, nothing feels right to do work. I really want to have my own company. I don't know anything about what I would do with the company, or what kind of company it would be. And in that state of, and then not being able to pay rent, and in that state of, what do I do? Pedro contacted me, and I had known him, I had known of him for years and years before, as my sister knew his friend, who, you know, so it was a that type of connection, and he's the one who told me that I was going to be leaving San Francisco. He said, in 2 weeks, your sister's going to leave San Francisco, and she's going to be in LA, and she's going to be there for about a year. Your mother's going to live with her for about 6 months, and then she's going to get married. And, you know, like, I mean, like, very, very specific. What, and it was for him already. He already is seeing it already. He already saw it happen. And so he was just letting us know what happened. And my sister saw him. My sister and my mom flew from Southern California to San Francisco to see Pedro. They saw him. They talked to him about me. He basically told them my entire soul path. He told them when I was going to be successful with my path. He told them everything, and then and it started out with, in 2 weeks she's gonna leave, and they didn't tell me, because at the time everything was okay. It seemed like everything was okay. I had no idea that that was coming, because in 2 weeks we were gonna be celebrating Christmas. So we were really excited. We had family postcards that went out, and you know, we had no idea that was coming. But sure enough, and later when I got to
what happened? So so you didn't know it, and then 2 weeks later, he said in 2 weeks you're going to be moving, and then in 2 weeks it happened.
In 2 weeks it happened. My sister and my mom were already in Laguna Beach, or actually they were in Newport Coast at the time, and when I got down here with the kids, they let me listen to Pedro's recording. They recorded the session, and they let me listen to it.
Oh, you weren't at the session.
I wasn't at the session. I wasn't at the session. They asked, in spite of me requesting them not to ask about me, because at the time my heart was with the LDS Church, and we trusted. We did not trust in information that came from other sources, is how they felt about it. Is it comes through you, and that's it. It comes through you, and so you don't go to readers or psychics, or you know, because you don't know what influences they're bringing to the reading. So you don't trust that. You just trust whatever's coming through you. So because I was coming from that place of fear, I asked her not to have a reading for me. They did anyway. They recorded it, and then they let me listen to it once I got here, what was said. And I was blown away. And because he was right about everything. So whatever he was sharing, he was tuned into something.
Yeah.
And it was more than what I could tune into at the time. So that's when I was like, you can't do your own brain surgery. You need that objective reflection. You need somebody who can see the energy. It was powerful, and that was the beginning of my work, to see Pedro. I wanted to see him for myself, and it took 3 years of every single day working on my consciousness and my energy. 3 years to see Pedro. And by the time I saw him, I had already produced my, I had already gone through enough preparation that I was finally ready to start my company. And but I didn't know how to make that leap. And so what he did was he came and told me, he flew into Los Angeles, and I met with him. And I met with Pedro, and the first thing he said to me was, I have to work on my first chakra. So he's starting me from the very beginning, grounding. And I have that session recorded. And so I have that session, and you could tell my voice sounds different. The things that I needed to know about is an indicator of where I was at. My spirit within my human system was so young still, and probably hadn't on a feminine energy level hadn't matured since I was 19 years old, because I went from one father energy to another father energy, and I did not give myself that space to grow up into my own energy like you did. All those experiences that you allowed yourself to have. Mine was so planned out and, you know, in everything in safety zone. And yours was everything outside the line. Chaos. and dancing in that energy matured you so much quicker. But for me, I matured in a different way. I matured in discipline, I matured in focus, I matured in commitment and perseverance and stepping up and stepping out and expanding with 2 young children. I had to face every fear that I've ever had. So for the person who's been contained all their life, so to speak, it's a tremendous learning curve to become an adult, right? Self-responsible and self-actualized and self-realized. But you know, I had really, really responsible, loving parents, even though they weren't always emotionally present for themselves, but they come from a long, ancient, wise lineage, which is the lineage I chose. So just inherently, the culture itself is just really evolved, even in its damage. And so, you know, essentially I went from one father to another. So I had to start at 19 when I was alone. And so Pedro told me that that I couldn't get a job because that would activate an energy. He said it's a strong possibility that it would activate an energy inside me where my own autoimmune system, you know, begins to become out of balance, and I would have an autoimmune disease, which he did not know about this at the time. And this is in our Journey to Avala story. I had Hodgkin's disease. I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease when I was 20 years old. When I was 21, something like that, 22, really young. He didn't know about that. That's an autoimmune disease. So he told me about that. So he said, you can't get a job. He goes, you can, but this is what it will do to your energy. He goes, what you need, I see an office. He goes, it's you know, and he told me he sees an office, and he told me people from all over the world will come to help me create my new company, and that I have to go find an office. That's the first thing I have to do. And I said, Pedro, I can't pay rent, and you want me to go find an office, start my company. What am I gonna do there? And he's like, you're gonna know, but go get an office. And guys, that was really, really nuts. It was scary. To go get an office? It was impossible. It was impossible at the time for me. I didn't have a job. I didn't have income. I couldn't pay rent. And he tells me to go get an office. So the very next day, I started looking for offices. And I called real estate agents, and I went on Craigslist, and I started looking for offices. I had an idea of what I wanted my office to look like. And I went and saw this one office that kept popping up. It was like they were putting 20 ads out in an hour. There was no other room or space for any other ads because this one company was going nuts putting ads out. And it was Regis, and I gotta honor Regis because, man, they played a beautiful part in my story. They were opening up a new office on the base floor of the HBO building across the street from the Water Garden, which is in Santa Monica. All of these things are really big deals because at the time they felt like limitations to me. Like my office is going to be in an HBO building with valet service across the street from the Water Garden, where all the in the area where all the studios are. This is nuts. It was called the Yahoo Center at the time. Twitter ended up moving in, so we were sharing the same office as Twitter.